I was privileged to get an advance copy of the new Baroness album Stone, and I'm here to tell you it sounds quite a bit different from their last album Golden Grey. On this episode, I'll lay out exactly what you should expect when the album drops this Friday, September the 15th. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, John Barbas. Make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for this week's Riff of the Week. I'm happy to report that Stone sounds quite a bit heavier than Golden Grey did. Now don't get me wrong, this is Baroness we're talking about. It's not Cannibal Corpse heavy, it's just heavier in relation to their last album Golden Grey. This is a lot riffier, it has more bottom end, I think it's groovier, just more head bobbing sections in general. It's just a lot of differences to break down here because Golden Grey was a more eclectic album. You know, at times Golden Grey kind of reminded me of the Mars Volta with the weirdness of the lead guitar, and then sometimes it kind of made me think of older Radiohead, you know, just stoner metal. So I pop on the record, I start spinning Stone, and right away it's got like this roots Americana sound. The intro song Embers, it kind of reminds me of Mumford & Sons a little bit, and I was thinking to myself, well, I guess they're going more further down that artsy direction that they were going on the last album. Nope. Yeah, that was just an intro. The first proper song starts called Last Word, and it's this just chunky, energetic romp of a metal riff. I was like, yeah, now this I can get into. And then it moves through all these great like rock and roll sections. And there's even this really awesome lo-fi sounding trad metal type guitar solo. And I was thinking like, okay, this is cool. And I hope that the rest of the album sounds like this. And yeah, it does. A lot of those distinct guitar choices on Golden Grey that made it sound weird to me, kind of like Mars Volta meets Mastodon a little bit, aren't present here. It has a lot more low-end riffs, a lot more high energy, sometimes kind of stripped down, but that doesn't mean that these are very simple songs. They're very complex, and there's a lot of harmonic interplay between the two guitar players, which is kind of the hallmark of Baroness's sound. It's just to me that this album sounds more like Western roots music meets stoner metal, hard rock meets hardcore. Kind of a vibe, not like that eclectic finality that Golden Grey was. And that really leads me to my theory on why Baroness kind of changed sound a little bit on this album. Golden Grey was the final album in their 6th album Color Wheel series. Each of the first 6 Baroness albums is named after a color on the color wheel. So it starts with Red Album, then you got Blue Record, then there's the double album Yellow and Green, followed by Purple, and then finally Golden Grey, which is a weird way of saying orange, but that makes all the colors on the color wheel. That's a really ambitious undertaking to plan out 6 albums that way. Well, now that that project is complete, what do you do next? You start another project, and that's where this album Stone comes in. And in fact, I think that album title Stone is an indication of the subtle change in direction, because to me this is a very rock and roll sounding record. In between all of the real chuggy metal riffs, a lot of the songs, the verses have like where the guitars kind of drop back to either single chords with leads over them or maybe a little bit of arpeggiation, or like the vamping punk rock style picking. The simplicity in the verses kind of gives it this rock and roll feel. And then the choruses all have this big lift. And one thing I really love about this album is it kept tricking me. I kept thinking, okay, this is where they're going to get soft. Like the song Magnolia. It's got this really haunting intro with these really hypnotizing vocal melodies over this twangy bit of arpeggiated guitar. The rhythm section's really subdued there. It's kind of like a ballad sounding, I thought like, okay, this is going to be the sad song. And then boom, the heavy riffs and the screaming start in. In fact, the only truly soft song on the album from beginning to end is the album closer, Bloom. And it's just such a nice way to end the album. You know, after all that high-flying rock, they just softly bring you back to earth with this nice landing. And that's where like all the teasing that they've been doing throughout the album of being like roots Americana, sort of Western sounding. It's where it all comes to fruition. They're not teasing you anymore. Now you get a complete song of that. And it's just these really beautiful vocal harmonies to just bring it all in, close the show. And I felt very happy when the album ended. I felt fulfilled. I never really paid that much attention to Baroness before, but now after having heard this album and learning about the Color Wheel project, I feel like this is a band that would maybe appeal to me. I feel like I would enjoy revisiting their back catalog. They've got like this dichotomy of simplicity while maintaining this artistry that really appeals to a person like me. I really can't say enough good things, so I think right about now is where we should talk about the riff of the week. Close the show. As the episode closes, you'll hear the riff of the week playing, but first, I want to know what you think. Are you excited for the new Baroness album, Stone? What's your favorite past album? If you were to point a noob like me to their back catalog, which album would you recommend that I start with? I want to know. Say it in the comments or hit me up on my social media, which is in the description below. Thank you. And the riff of the week is the aforementioned Last Word. It's from the upcoming Baroness album Stone, which will release this Friday, September the 15th, 2023. I hope you enjoy. And if you want to catch another great Heavy Metal Philosophy episode and you're on YouTube, just click right here. If you're audio only, links in the description. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you. Close the show.